This conference will now be recorded.
Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have one amendment to the council. We are going to pull 7A, the council action on ordinance 2025-02 RV specialty motor vehicle ordinance. I'll let Miles comment a little bit on that. We'll still hear the public comments on that unless our attorney advises differently, but I'll let Miles take over.
Yes, Mayor and Council, we received recommendation from our city attorney this afternoon that we should pull the ordinance from the agenda tonight. There is some significant problems with equal protection clause and wording issues and some formatting problems that should have been caught earlier, but unfortunately I was out of the office this afternoon, so I didn't hear about it until this afternoon. And so I apologize for that. So we are still planning to hear public comments on what we have written tonight, as these are some things that would still stand in the ordinance moving forward. But just be advised that there will be changes moving ahead, and that if you have any more questions about it, feel free to reach out to us. And we apologize for the transparency issues and that we weren't able to catch this ahead of time. So I apologize personally about that.
Mike, do you have anything to comment on that quick?
Yeah, I apologize. I had reviewed the draft ordinance. I went back and looked at my emails on in February, and it's basically the same ordinance, but there was one added provision. There's just one provision in this that is not, I don't think can be done the way it's written. And so we don't have to get into the details of it, but we're going to have to go back and redraft that to try and make it workable. And then also, it's not in ordinance form. It doesn't have an effective date. It doesn't have a caption explaining what the ordinance is. And I guess I didn't even know this was on the agenda at all until yesterday when I got the agenda. So that's where we're at, but I can help fix it probably within between now and the next month in September. So I really apologize sincerely for this. I know that people probably showed up for the public hearing. And I think it's fine to go forward with the public hearing if you want to. That's not a legal problem at all if you want to do it. But I think that the one provision needs to be addressed and reviewed, and it has to be put in the correct format. And then there's some spacing issues in it too.
Okay. So we just have that one amendment to the agenda. So just need a motion in a second.
Make a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
I'll second that.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0. We'll open the public comment portion. Individuals may address the city council. What? Oh, we're going to do the public comment portion. And then.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. That's my fault.
So we'll limit the remarks to 5 minutes. Generally, the city council will not take any official action on these items, but may refer to the matter of the staff with future report. This is public comments, not referring to the RV ordinance. We'll do that when we get to the public hearing portion. Any public comments? Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
So the public comments are not related to the RV ordinance?
Yeah, right now. We have a public hearing set. If we didn't have a public hearing set, then you could have done your public comments. But we have a public hearing for just the RV. So this public, so this public comment's just non-RV. Yes, sir.
Would that be held at another time where we can do the same thing as we were going to tonight?
We're going to do the public hearing since we've already got it here and we have people here, so that we'll listen to the public comment portion on the RV ordinance.
One more
Yes.
question. When it's revised and comes back next month, will there also be a public comment time for them when we see what's on there? Or is this the only public comment hearing time that we're going to have?
To answer, either way, it depends on what council decides they want to do. We want to do if we want to open a public portion just for the RV ordinance, or you can come in and comment in the public comments portion.
Mayor.
Yeah.
You could also open the public hearing tonight and then recess the public hearing and then continue it at the next meeting in September without actually noticing a separate public hearing, if that makes sense. And that's not done a lot, but sometimes it is done with zoning issues. We've done it before. Sometimes when there's too many people to comment and the council wants to take more comments, you could, at the end of it, instead of closing the public hearing, you would make a motion to recess the public hearing until, and then Miles could provide the date of the September meeting. And that way people could comment tonight and then comment in September before you close the public hearing.
So then we don't have to advertise it and all that stuff.
Correct. And it's actually a discretionary public hearing anyway. You don't even have to have a public hearing. We're having a public hearing because I think Brian wanted to hear from the public or allow the public to give input on this particular issue because of the public interest in it.
Perfect. Thanks, Mike. So I think that's what we'll do. So the public comments is just non-RV. We'll do the RV public hearings now. When we're done here in the comments, we'll recess it per the attorney. And then our next council meeting, when we have that, we won't advertise it. It'll just be at that meeting, whatever Miles decides that will be at. Yes, sir.
How can we comment on something we haven't seen?
We'll publicize that. We've already publicized it. There's just some variant stuff that we have to do more detailed of.
So wouldn't it be more prudent to wait until you publish it, to have the public comment on it?
Mike?
Well, Mayor, you could do it that way too. You could just cancel this tonight and redo the public hearing next time when we have the final version. You could do it either way.
I mean, that would be more fair to everyone to be able to see what we're commenting on.
And we still would publish the additions and subtractions of the variance. We're just going to recess it. If everybody's okay or council wants to, we can just cancel the RV ordinance public hearing and redo it in September.
If I can make a comment quick, I think a lot of us would like to voice an opinion today. That can be, bounce around, see what comes out of that. And I would like to see another notice given in September that people that want to comment commentary, because that might be the final version. There might not be any changes. It might be perfected by then. So I would say that we still do it today and we do it again in September with public notice, not recessing with no notice.
Yep, and you can do that too. You could do just another public hearing, sure.
And I would second that request.
I'm okay with that, council. Okay. So we'll close the public.
Can you just clarify which section you're gonna work on for the next one so we can wait and comment on that, whatever section is gonna be reworked for?
Mike, you want to clarify the exact sections that we're going to redo for they're not commenting on that?
Well, the section that is there's only one sentence in it that's a problem. And it's, hold on. Section. In the event a city lot does not allow for compliance with the above described setback requirements, city residents may request prior approval of a parking and or storage location on their property, which the city may approve on an individual basis at its sole discretion. And so typically you can't do that. You have to have objective performance standards. It can't be up to a city staff person to just pick and choose who gets a special allowance and who doesn't without any objective standard. So I didn't know that provision was in there. I had read the prior version of the ordinance that didn't have that. And then there's other practical problems with it too. What does it mean to not allow for compliance? I don't know what that means. I don't know what a city lot is. I don't know if this is a permit or a license. It doesn't have any procedures. It doesn't say who's going to approve it, if it's the city council or if it's city staff or the city administrator or the zoning administrator. It just doesn't have enough detail to really enforce it. And that's not a constitutional problem. That's just a drafting problem. Those are my thoughts on that particular provision, which I explained to Miles. And I, again, apologize. What actually happened here was the city email was down. And so I never got the agenda notice, and Brian realized that and made a special email just to me yesterday to make sure I had it. And then I looked at this, I looked at the agenda, but not the ordinance yesterday when I spoke with Brian. And then when I reviewed it today, I noticed the problem with it. So apparently there was some city email issue that you guys have had the last week, according to Brian, and the agenda didn't get sent out like it normally does. So that's what happened.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, thank you.
So I will close the public comment portion. We'll jump down to 4, consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered routine by the council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless council member requests it, in which the case item will be removed from the consent agenda and be considered in its normal sequence of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 400. Excuse me, accounts payable, Joan.
This month, we have 81794, which is Schumacher pay for mill and six at $136,397.01. And then we had 2 repairs that were going on with water and sewer. That was 81799 and 81801. And those were $10,729.91 and $42,070. And then the other was one more with water and sewer. It was where we did some work at the fill station on the vandalism repair. And that was 81843. Other than that, everything looks pretty normal. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Kim, one question on 81843 and the vandalism on the concrete. Are we getting any of that back?
Yes, we did get reimbursed.
Okay, that portion, okay. That's what I thought, but I just didn't know if we had seen it. It's the only question I had.
Okay, if no one has any other further questions, I would make a motion to approve accounts payable in the amount of $350,091.30.
Second.
Any further discussions on accounts payable? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 400. Thanks, Joan. Now we'll open the public hearing portion for the revised ordinance of 2025-02 RV specialty motor vehicle ordinance. I think we're all on the same page of what we're at, so limit your statements to 3 minutes. State your name, your address, and we'll have the public portion roughly 20 minutes long.
Steve Grove.
You need to go to the podium, Steve. Thank you.
Steve Grove, 6680 East 4th Street, Sagrada. I'm wondering what you're going to do about people that should be grandfathered in if they have, say, like a fifth wheel trailer, that they have got enough property where it's parked that you can see underneath the trailer, around the trailer, and you can still park a car underneath it. That's how far off the street they are.
Are you the one on East 4th here, one of the last properties? And I've looked at and I'm okay with that because you got it on approved service, you got it neat. And you may not meet the feet requirement of the 15 feet, but it's safety stuff like that. So we've looked at that one, so.
Okay, that's
That's my opinion on it. And I assume other council is aware of that one.
Fred Kangan's house. I'm Fred and Peggy are gone. I'm just here for them. Yeah, they've been over there. They've had that for years. And it's just gotten better with that fifth wheel. You can see around it underneath it. So I'm just hoping that they can be grandfathered in.
And that's part of the variance that we're working on, that
Okay.
some of the details are not fine tuned to address stuff like that. So, perfect. Thanks.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Gary Bryant, 617 West 8th Street. Just want to make a few comments. Within a few weeks of us moving into our home, we have never put up a fence because one neighbor did not want us to. On the other side of the yard, our other neighbor, we cut down a large tree to accommodate them, fear about safety. We also did moved our fire pit to the other side of the house to accommodate them. Our side yard's been trashed a number of times, at least 6, by that neighbor taking their 4-wheeler down because there's no room between our houses for them to stay on their own property. And we have not, at least until this point, complained about that. The camper's been in the driveway now for 26 years, longer than that house has been. So a comment I got from him was that they just didn't like it because they could see more when it wasn't parked there. So either with the law, the way it's written now with that 15-foot setback, or without, one of our neighbors on one side or the other is going to be quite angry with us. We did spend a fair amount of money upgrading where we have the camper with a brick parking driveway, and also upgraded the electric to be able to plug it in there. So that's about it, except a question, does anyone know where the 15-foot setback comes from?
You want to answer? I mean,
So the 15-foot setback was put in place as a issue with the public right-of-way. So it's basically supposed to say you can't park in the right-of-way of your property or blocking the sidewalk. And it kind of fits our zoning code, which is most things are a 12-foot setback. And so the extra 3 feet was for RV ordinance in particular because it's a recreational vehicle. So it was just slightly different, but that's what we decided on. But yep.
Our particular instance, the maybe maximum we could get it away from the street is probably 10 feet. However, there's also a light pole in front of the camper, so it's not like it's a further hazard than that.
So we're looking at with this variance stuff.
Yep.
You can apply for a variance because every situation is different. We're looking at public safety, we're looking at lot, stuff like that. So that's what we're going to readjust. Because there's some campers, like Steve was talking about, that may not make the 15, but he's done it. We're trying to eliminate the people that park it in the yards and leave it there or park it in the streets. So we're directing our police officers better guidance, and that's the purpose of this whole ordinance coming up.
May I make an additional comment? Our neighbors on the other side have made it extremely clear that if we do follow the new rule, the law, and move it to the other side of our yard, that they're going to be extremely pissed. I have no other way to word it, with us for doing that. So we're going to have somebody unhappy no matter what we do, whether we follow the law or we don't, or we get the variance. But the reality is, we probably will only have the camper somewhere between 5 and 8 more years. And then we're going to be too old to be going out camping, quite frankly. And so, as we said before, the camper's been there longer than the house. When you're looking at our house, the house to our left, the camper's been there longer than the house has been there. It has always been there. They knew it was there from the very beginning. And so there's no road that we're blocking, line of vision or anything like that. There's no curb and gutter, so that, let alone sidewalks up there. And so we're just having a hard time seeing where it makes sense in our situation.
Anybody else?
Ryan McCrusky, 356 Warren Avenue. First of all, I just want to thank the committee, thank the co-committee for working on this. I think what we're looking at today is a very different one than we were looking at a few months ago. Overall, I'm pretty darn happy with it. We've got a few issues we've talked about here tonight. One thing I was kind of wondering about on section D2, it talks about the 5-foot rear setback and the 15-foot setback on any rear lot line abutting a street. So I guess I'm just kind of confused. Maybe it's a legal distinction of what is a rear lot line versus the curb or abutting a street. To me, it would just be a 15-foot curb perimeter setback and then a a 5-foot setback on an interior lot, but the way it's worded, I'm just confused on that.
Those are some zoning differences. So
Okay.
like, just like the lot lines in particular, like, you know, you do a county survey, that's where they kind of come up with that. So I think the idea was that it'd be from wherever like those lot lines are, because sometimes, you know, rear yards for properties are kind of odd and different depending on where they are. So I think the idea was that for in those scenarios, like it just fits with our zoning code, what we have,
Okay.
like for an accessory structure or any type of surface that would go there, it would just fit with the code that we already.
Okay, so it's a zoning, so it's something you can look up and explain, you know, I don't understand fully what it means, but I get the concept of it, so. And then the other thing I've got, and I brought this up before, and I think people brought it up, the 15-foot setback, to me, it kind of seems like a number picked out of the air. You know, I look at this big building right here and many of other downtowns buildings, they are way closer than 15 feet. So if we can plant, you know, is that a 10-foot setback, 12-foot setback? I don't know what some of the, especially downtown, 6 feet, 7 feet, it's not very far. You know, I know my sidewalk, I measured it's about 6 feet. Why don't we stick with something a little shorter that would accommodate people's current usage? It's not blocking sight, you know, again, they keep the sight lines open, but you know, if I park my pickup truck 6 feet from the curb at the edge of my sidewalk, that's fine. Why can't I park my camper that I don't have at that same location? So, you know, I'm just wondering why we can't apply universally and not add an extra buffer. To me, it just seems like an extra restriction, and then we're gonna have to do extra workarounds after the fact to try to make exceptions for properties that are non-conforming. So, thank you.
Laura Mulkreski, 356 Warren Avenue. I would also like to thank the city council and the code committee. I think this new ordinance looks much better than what we were working with a few months ago. Definitely seems like it's more focused on public safety rather than maybe some private nuisances and complaints that have been brought forward. So I think this is looking a lot better. The one thing I wanted to bring up is section E3. It says on publicly owned land, including park property or playgrounds, except where permitted by this section. So it's saying that the vehicle is not allowed on park property or playgrounds except where allowed, but it never allows anything in this section. And I'm assuming we're not trying to restrict like the snowmobile trails and the covered bridge park and things like that. So I would just suggest either adding where it's permitted in the section E, or maybe striking except where permitted by this section, and then instead say either except on designated trails or maybe except where permitted by the Zumbrota Parks Department or something similar to that. Thank you.
Just a comment on that one, a comment in particular. We have had previous, even in the prior version of the ordinance, there were some issues with that provision anyway. So I think that's a good comment, and those are some changes we can make wording wise in particular.
Any more public comments on the RV? We'll close the,
I have one more.
yeah?
My name is Sandra Bryan. I also live at 617 West 8th Street here in Zumbrota. I know we're talking about, I'm actually making a comment about the specialty motor vehicle ordinance. Do we have any laws that state who is allowed to be driving those on the public roadways? Because recently, as in just this week, I had an experience with 3 young men who looked to be juveniles riding a four-wheeler, side-by-side four-wheeler through, and weaving both sides of the road, the middle of the road, whatever, as they were going along their merry way. And I would be much more concerned about that type of a safety issue than the RV ordinance.
I mean, and
So-
we have ordinances on that, and they have regulations. The city
Okay.
police department takes care of all that, and if there's an issue, that's why we have a police department to take care of that stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Any more comments on the public hearing on the RV ordinance? Council, anything else you want to add to this before I close it? So I think that's what we're gonna do, right, Mike? We're gonna close it and redo another one, right, Miles?
Yep, I think that's where we're thinking right now. If that sounds correct.
Yep. So I'll work on this. I wrote the comments down from the people, and it's that exception language. If you want to do exceptions, it's going to be difficult, but I will work on help you try to come up with something to give exemptions or to do something. But I took note of the comments, I guess.
The next code meeting is on
13th.
August 19th is the next code meeting. I don't know what we'll have on this matter at that point, just because it's kind of so soon, but there will be obviously something either in August or September on this matter for code committee.
So yeah,
The code committee will get it,
we'll send it back to the code, just
but
to what the attorney said.
but then they'll bring it to us and
Yeah.
we can discuss it before we even set up another public hearing, right?
Depending on meetings, you may get it, but we may not have a work session and or council meeting discussion prior to that.
Can't we?
Then what?
The public hearing?
Yeah, we can.
That's what I mean, we can have a meeting, a council meeting before the public hearing,
100%.
so we can discuss it, the changes and stuff.
Yeah, we'll do that. So next time it's back through code committee, what we'll do is we'll bring it to city council and then you'll have that meeting. We'll set the public hearing for the next one. And if you have any comments on it, you can make them at that time or in your report section as well.
Well, and I think we're close. We're a lot closer today than we were several months ago. Are we gonna make everybody happy if we make it 8 feet, 10 feet, 30 feet? Everybody is not good. I mean, so we're close and as council, we just have to decide by the input by the public of where we feel is the best for everybody. So.
We, not just one person can give that variance, right? Or how did you mention that?
We need to figure out what the guidelines that city staff is just not making it okay, yes or no, that it's got to come to council or planning and zoning or the code committee that can grant that variance. That's what we need to work on.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just so we're clear, Mayor, it wouldn't be a variance. This isn't a zoning ordinance. This is a nuisance ordinance, but you'll probably have to adopt some permitting if you want to allow, if you're going to set a setback standard and then you want to allow certain properties only to violate it, you're going to have to allow that by permit and then set objective standards for how to obtain a permit or on what circumstances a permit will be granted. So that's how it would be done. It's going to be difficult, I think, based on these comments to do that, but I will do the best I can to do something for you. It wouldn't be a variance. I think people think you can get a variance. You can't get a variance from a public nuisance. So this is just something different, I guess.
I mean, the bottom line, because then the police department will know this one's okay, this one's not, or whatever. So that's why we got to figure out it's not a variance, it's a permit or whatever.
And ideally, it wouldn't go back to the council either on each permit. It should be city staff doing, and there should be a procedure in there for how staff does it. Otherwise, that would, it's a lot for the council to grant individual small permits like that. It's not normally done. It's usually done by staff.
The way he approached it, maybe we need to change that 15 feet to avoid all these permits then.
But how many is it really going to be? I mean, that's my question. I've driven around just like you have. How many are really violating that 15 feet? There's not a lot out there. So, I mean, if it's 3 or 4 or 10, it's not a lot. I don't think it's going to be 40 or 50. So
I don't realize that either, but I mean, if it even was left the same, there wouldn't be any.
But I think some of it too is, I don't think it's how close, it's also a safety issue. Like Steve says, his that are out there, you can see underneath it because it's a fifth wheel, they got retaining walls, they got approved service. They've taken the time and to do that. It's some of the residents that throw it in the front yard or the front on the roadway that it's a safety issue and we're not public storage and stuff like that.
We haven't gotten a lot over the many, many years. I've talked to the police, hardly any complaints about it either.
It's 1 or 2 people, 3 people in town.
That's what I'm saying, do we change the whole ordinance just because we have a couple complaints where it satisfies? There was quite a few here last month for this.
Because we already admitted it, that ordinance shouldn't even had a public hearing, but we had it. because we already published it. That's why we heard it.
I
We had to
understand.
correct it. We've corrected a lot of things.
But
and
the
now-
feedback we got from that was similar to this, of the footage back from the crew.
I mean, the first public hearing, there was a lot of people complaining about, you can't park my UTV. We don't have any of them people now. It's pretty much campers now. So we've taken care of a lot of them problems. We just got to figure out what's going to be happy on. Perfect. I will close the public hearing portion and we will jump to 7A, which is now the 2026 budget discussion. Kimberly.
I know you've been waiting for this moment, so we had a work session, we discussed the budget. I haven't made any changes to the budget, but I thought there were a couple things I would like you to think about. It came up during fire board, and also I've had some discussion with a couple council members stopping in my office and talking about some of the things that are bringing the budget up. And I did want you to know that, just to give you kind of a frame of reference, that if we add $28,390, like say today we decided we wanted to buy something additional that is not in the budget, and we added that 28,000, that's 1% of the levy, so a 1% levy increase. Again, remember, the levy increase does not mean that your taxes go up 1%, but it's a levy increase. So one of the things we got was that public safety money. And one of the discussions that we've been asked, and I know Mayor Hamel will agree, the fire department has asked for money, as have the ambulance. And we have had a little bit of pressure from some of the townships because we haven't done anything with our money yet, per se. The townships got money for public safety. It went to the county. If you were a township under 10,000, it went to the county. The county made the determination on what to do with their public safety dollars. They were not able to do that. We, on the other hand, were given the public safety dollars. We were given $165,458 for public safety. And so we have been requested by, especially the fire department, to see if they could have some of that money for them. We've been talking about the mechanisms on how to fund any requests like that. So I have put together the 2026 budget and looked at what the city of Zumbrota residents who pay taxes, what percentage of their safety money is dedicated to what department. So if I do it that way, the police department, if you add up all public safety money, the police department is 86.51% of our safety budget. The fire department is 7.48%, and the ambulance is 6.01%. And this is according to the 2026 budget. So if we took the public safety money and we divided that up by those percentages, the police percentage would be $143,000. I'm going to round them for you, about $143,000. The fire would be about $12,500, and the ambulance would be about $10,000, right around there, give or take $50 or $60. The police have already spent a little bit of their money when they had their overlap last year. When we had Officer Brecht hired on, we spent some of that money to fund that overlapping hours. Now we've looked at some increases in the police budget, and I just wanted to make you aware that depending on what you would want or would not want to do, there is a possibility of using some of those public safety dollars to help defray that cost of adding an additional officer next year. But remember, we still have to make that off. It's kicking it down the line a little bit. We're still going to have to add something back the next year. Because if we put $28,000 and we did 1% there, it would bring that levy percentage down 1%. But next year we'd have to make up that percent to bring that back up. But I just wanted to give you that option so you could think on that, and think also about if we want to split the money up that way, because we are being asked, and I just wanted you to think about it. We don't have a deadline on when we have to do anything with that money. So, but I just wanted you to think about it because it has been asked, and make you a little bit more aware of kind of, it's the most equitable way I could think about splitting that money up. A third doesn't really make sense for the city of Zumbrota taxpayers. Yeah.
And I think we've talked about it, we just haven't done it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Once we get the budget approved, maybe in November or December, we can do a work session and discuss that. Because I don't think, Fred, you haven't been part of any of them discussions.
I've heard.
You've heard about it, but we haven't been part of that discussion yet. So I know Joan and Kevin and Bob, we've discussed it a little bit now, but I do know we should probably make a work session. But let's get our budget for 2026 at least voted on, and then we can worry about that. Since there's not a timeline, I know the ARPA dollars, we ran into some timeline issues, so we had to
Yes.
push that a little bit more, but.
Requested some money.
The fire department had requested to be given some of the safety dollars.
Yeah, they came to council.
Lee again here?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's just
So
an
they don't
ongoing
need- they don't need
discussion.
it for
We hear
something.
about it in fire board. They ask us about it.
We should figure out, because we've had that for how long?
2 years.
2 years. I mean, they all,
It's just, but.
they all can use it.
No, we had ARPA dollars, we were still worrying about spending and the timeline, and then we got this money, and now there's not a timeline, so it's just been thrown in account, we just haven't addressed
No,
it.
I understand it, but the fire and ambulance surely could probably use whatever they get.
Is this those public safety dollars that are granted, or is this something different?
Public safety dollars.
Can that go towards the public infrastructure?
No, it can't. It's basically for safety, police, fire,
Emergency services.
ambulance, and as taxpayers, you guys are paying our police department, and the townships, the county got their money and the townships didn't. So with our fire department, with joint powers and having townships, they want a third of city taxpayers' dollars, which doesn't, in my eyes, it's not beneficial to a taxpayer to give a third. That's a different topic for a different day. Perfect. Anything else on the budget?
No, nothing. Please keep coming in with questions. We can work through them or email them to me.
Perfect. I will move to the next one. Thanks, Kim. New business, 8A, resolution approving state of Minnesota joint powers agreements with the city of Zumbrota on behalf of its police department regarding the Minnesota Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. Chief, you running with this one?
I'll speak to it the best I can. So Sergeant Pasquale has joined with ICAC, Internet Crimes Against Children, and so he's been able to receive valuable training. It's good investigative training, good experience, and so he's actually been able to participate in some actual operations as a result of that down in Rochester. And so basically, because it's another entity that there's funding that pays for this stuff, they need an agreement. So that's what it really boils down to, just like everything else.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2025-26.
Second.
Where did you get that number at?
It's right on the City of Zumbrota resolution.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
26.
We have a motion to second. Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye,
Is it roll call?
I think so.
Okay. Joan?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Fred? And aye. Passes 4-0-0. Thanks, Chief. Let's jump to reports. Wow.
Yes, well, the big one I have, and I'm reading it for Kurt Meister, our Economic Development Coordinator, or Community Development Director, I should say, sorry. But he worked with Jeff Myers, our Interim Public Works Director, and we received a grant through the Live Well Goodhue County. And we were awarded $5,155 to purchase a wall-mounted outdoor bottle filler with angled drinking fountain. This grant is reimbursement. The funds will come from the city's general fund. And once ordered and received, the fountain will be installed by city staff, and the fountain will be stainless steel. And it's going to go right out at the trailhead. Is that correct, Kim or Jeff?
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, that was his big update. And then in addition, Code Committee will be reviewing a first draft of an animal ordinance, or a revised animal ordinance, I should say, which will be going to Code Committee on August 19th. And that's all from me.
Perfect. Thanks, Miles. Chief? Bev? Let Kevin? You want to do Kevin first? I'll let you go second.
I can go right now.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to give a recognition to Tim Mack, who recently retired from the Zumbrota Area Ambulance Committee. Just personal experience with him. He helped me when I first moved into the community, came out and did some mowing for me. And then just his giving of himself to this community for showing up on calls just repeatedly. There was many nights where I would drive by plowing on 52 and I'd see his truck parked right there as he was serving the community. So big shout out, thank you to him. The ambulance committee has retired his number 377 out of respect for all that he has done. So thanks again.
How many years was it total? And then he was with the community, like 43 and 37 with the community with it?
Bethlehem.
31 with the service, but 40 some overall.
Yeah.
He kind of bounced back and forth a couple of times as well. He did a lot of what we call second out calls. So if one ambulance was already out on a call, Tim and another request for 911 service came up, Tim would frequently pick up that second out call, drop what he was doing at home and go.
And I know he was pretty active with our Covered Bridge Festival and when we needed ambulances around for parades and stuff, so.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah,
Very active with
yeah.
fair as well.
Did a great job, thanks. Anything else, Kevin?
That's it.
Perfect, thank you. Chief?
I just wanted to highlight National Night Out this past week, which, again, we broke last year's record from my understanding. So we had well over 500 attendees, and it was very successful. I don't think they ran out of food, which we've done before. So it was very well done, and Officer Clemenson did another fine job running that. And so we're very proud of the efforts there, and that we can, get together with the community in that respect. So it was a success. The ribbon cutting for the memorial is going to be September 3rd. I believe we set it for 6:30. So that is upcoming, and we're looking forward to that. I anticipate construction will start sometime next week on that. And so they figured it'd take about a week to construct it, so it should be completed well in advance. So we're looking forward to that coming to fruition. With that said, we're also looking at, I received some information from LexisNexis, which is a company that deals with our report requests for crash reports. So this is something that we get, they buy the crash report, they send a check and they put the request, I mail it to them. And the Chiefs Association put out some information that they're trying to change how they do that. They want more of a seamless digital method to do that. And they still pay for those reports. It's just more of a seamless operation. So I've been working with them on getting us set up to do that. And so there'll be a change there. I don't know if that'll involve, so far I think I checked, I don't know if I sent you any of the information, but I set that for still to have them send a check. But they may eventually want to do a deposit electronically. So if that happens, I'll be forwarding that. But it looks like a really good opportunity with that. They give us some resources that are not necessarily crash related, that are more investigative related regarding vehicles. So it's kind of a, beneficial for both of us. They give us some of their capabilities that we didn't have before for participating in that. So we're looking forward to that. And I don't think I have anything else.
Thanks, Mayor. Just want to note, talking about ARPA dollars earlier. So the city had committed some ARPA funds to the library to do an engineering study on the replacement of our boiler system, as well as our environmental controls in the library. The engineering on the boiler portion, originally we intended to send out an RFQ on both the boiler and the environmental controls. But when they got in to look at the controls, so we have these old pneumatic controls in the facility, they're going to be a lot more work than they originally intended. So we decided to split out the RFQ and send out for the boiler so that could get done before this winter. And we're going to have it to take a longer time frame to work on the control portion of that. The boiler bids are actually due by Friday this week. Now it gets a little weird because it's the library's capital expenditure that we're going to be utilizing to pay for the replacement of the boiler, even though the city paid for the engineering. But it is a city-owned facility, so I'll talk to Brian about it, but I might bring back the bid to you for additional review or rubber stamp on that. So just so you're aware that's going on with us. And that's all I had. Thank you.
Yeah.
I got a couple things for you. Just an update on Empire is continuing to clean and televise the sewer lines in their phase 1 project. They have moved into the 2017 sewer trunk line project that went from North Star Drive across the river and through the park to Highway 58. At one point, we had talked internally that this may be a potential savings for footage if we could provide a television report from 2017 from that construction project, but we were unsuccessful. It actually turned out that the 2017 project was never cameraed. It was mandreled and then lamp tested. So there was no television report on that. So this footage will be necessary in order to keep the mapping data current on the GIS. So we will continue to go forward with that. This televising that we're doing will keep us on task for our phase 1, which they're almost complete with once they finish that up to Highway 58, but it's going to put us just slightly long on our footage. So, and then I'd like to give a thank you to the 3 young summer helpers that we've brought on this year. They've done a great job assisting in our day-to-day projects, and Larry and Ronnie had actually brought them in a few days early, and they helped out with painting the crosswalks and stuff. So just wanted to see how good of a job they're doing. So. Yeah.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Just like to thank the citizens for coming out and giving us their opinions. I appreciate that.
Brad?
Gotta get another turn. No, I got nothing.
Meeting adjourned.
Thanks for waiting, Larry. Shut the clue again.